What up, friendos? Welcome back. I posted a video about this new superhero MMO called Ship of Heroes and the drama of launching a game that looks like, well, I mean, it looks like what it looks like for the price of $60 upfront with also a $15 per month subscription. And people asked me to play it, so I did, and since I had to suffer through that experience, now you do too.
Welcome back. We are trying to acquire an ancient artifact called the Time Cube. I have no idea what it does exactly, but Ambassador has ordered me to retrieve it at any cost.
Why can you not stop lying? Please stop lying! What is wrong with you?
So let me just give you the cliff notes. The game is not good, and I don't mean like in a hooty tooty. I've just got my hands on the latest Ubisoft game, which is totally playable, decent even, but not worth my time to play or the box price, because there's just loads of better games out there for cheaper to play or that I already own. Or maybe there's a new indie gem to play and I just want to play that instead. I mean, this game is just not good in a way that it's almost offensively so. I see zero reason for anybody to play this. I'm not trying to be mean when I say that, but this is how the world works. This game looks, feels, controls, and is just worse than the currently playable for free version of City of Heroes that literally anybody wanting a superhero MMO can go and play instead. And I mean this in every single way possible. This game is worse. Character customization, which is about 60% of the enjoyment of these types of games. Movement, combat, visual, story, and most importantly, soul. This game has one of the worst designed sounds ever, like the system of sound from doing stuff, music. It's just really bad. Stock footage, elevator music that's just constantly playing in the background. AI for all the voices of all the NPCs, which I'm pretty sure you're supposed to disclose on the Steam store page as per their rules, and yet nothing at all mentioned about it. It's just, it feels, looks soulless to play. When you have something that is supposed to copy almost identically something else, but that other thing still exists and is more populated, it's free, it's better, there just isn't any reason to play this other thing at all. Add on $60 price tag, $15 a month sub, and well, then you get Ship of Heroes. Add on to all this that the game doesn't even fucking work. And at the end of my brief, it was only 30 minutes of gameplay, I was just trying to repeatedly close the game, open the game, enter the mission. You have to go into these little private instances to do missions to progress your quests, and it would just give me an infinite black screen. And it wasn't just me. All 20 of the other $60 paying customers were discussing their inability to even play the game in the chat, which is global, I imagine. The infinite black screen had defeated the entire Ship of Heroes. Our combined might couldn't defeat the inaccessible game content that blocked our progression. And maybe that was the point. Maybe the game was designed this way. The powerful foe that we were training up to fight had won, and it was the game itself. A fitting end for our journey, and one that would probably be more satisfying than my other 29 minutes of gameplay, where despite me being level 2, I was fucking invincible. Nothing could kill me. Simply fly through level 4 enemies, do all my quest objectives in front of their eyes, and they couldn't do a single point of damage to me. I could even stand outside and tank 6 or 7 enemies, all higher level than me, and the game would get so bored with me being stood there for so long, taking no damage, that it would simply despawn the enemies. The game is so broken that that's actually a good thing I'm invincible, because anytime I hit a loading screen, which is most of the game anyway, you will be stood there for 10 plus seconds on a black screen while you can hear enemies hitting you, shooting you, doing whatever, and there's nothing you can do to respond. So if I wasn't invincible, the game would just be me dying to NPCs stood outside a building that I couldn't interact with. Which then brings me to the next glitch. You know, how many of those did you experience in 30 minutes of gameplay? A lot. Which was, I went in and did a mission where there was 6 enemies outside hitting me, came out, went to go and turn the mission in, and then magically when leaving that building, it just teleported me back in time to the previous building where the enemies were stood outside. Right into the waiting arms of half a dozen enemies I can't interact with, but luckily don't do any damage. Add in the other glitches, you know, NPCs vanishing, just running around, and then 1 minute they're there, next minute they're not, animation bugs, and the ultimate game ending one where you just can't progress the game because the game goes full black screen and doesn't do anything. Not only are they charging $60 up front and $15 a month for an inferior product, but they're charging for one that doesn't fucking work. Which is when I ask myself,
after all, why not? Why shouldn't I keep it?
And realistically, in my history of doing reviews, which has been since like 2019, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've refunded a game that I was going to do a review on. And there's probably only one ever that's actually made it into a video, because most of the time if I'm going to review a game and it's just really bad, I just don't release the video. One game shares the refund with Ship of Heroes. The day before, it's in great company. The day before is the only other game I released a video on that I also refunded. And you know what's crazy about all this? If you sat me in front of like an alternate reality decision machine and said, play 10 hours of the day before on launch, or play 30 more minutes of Ship of Heroes, I legitimately would play the day before for 10 hours rather than play this for 30 more minutes. It's that bad. There is no redeeming qualities about this thing whatsoever. And I feel like doing any kind of like real review where you treat this as if it's like a real thing would be unfair to everyone involved, me, you, and the creators of the game. For me, because I'd need to hold myself to a standard of doing like at least 10 hours of gameplay for like a first impressions, which is what I've always done for first impression reviews. And you, because you then have to listen to me, go through and be like, here's a pro, here's a con, but there would be no pros, basically. As for the creators, well, actually fuck them, because they seem to think it's fine to just ban anyone that criticizes the $60 upfront price tag for a game that has reached a 100 player count in 24 hours and is currently at about 25 as I make this video. But with all that being said, this game has no future at all. In fact, it only exists because of a need in the market that also no longer exists. Ship of Heroes was created as a fan project to replace a beloved MMO from 2004 called City of Heroes, which closed down officially in 2012. 3 projects popped up at the same time trying to do the same thing. What you might not know is that 2012 to 2015 in the MMORPG niche, there was sort of a crowdfunding boom where a bunch of people raised a whole lot of money for the promise of making MMOs great again. In this niche within a niche of superhero MMO games, 3 different projects popped up vowing to do the same thing, to bring back the glorious feeling of City of Heroes. They were called City of Titans, Valiance Online, I think, and then the culprit for today, Ship of Heroes. All 3 of these projects went through the same goal of trying to find money, find people to work on them, and also find an audience. And none of them did a particularly great job to my knowledge. But at that time, remember, in the mid-2010s, there seemed to be a reason for these games to exist. Fast forward 2019, 6 years ago, and someone exposes that there's just been private servers running for City of Heroes for years, specifically one called Homecoming. This was a wonderful moment because if, like me, you loved City of Heroes, you could just go play the game, albeit unofficially, but running with impunity from the original IP owners. It's still around. They know about it. It's been around for a while. If you wanted a unique, cool, super classic superhero-themed MMO, you can have it. Unfortunately for the 3 fan-made copycats I just listed, including Ship of Heroes, they now had no reason to exist. Imagine this. You stood in front of the drink fountain. You see that Coca-Cola's right there, you know, the premium. It's free. You can have unlimited refills. Just drink as much as you want. And then right next to it is store brand, you know, Walmart, Happy Shopper, whatever in your country, knockoff version but it's $60 for a glass and $15 per refill. You got to ask yourself, who the fuck is paying for and drinking the knockoff worse version? When you copy something, you need the previous thing to either not exist, or you need to do it better, or at least differently enough that you can have your own audience. If your copy is just it, but a shadow, just worse, who's going to play it? And then add on your more expensive as well. There's no place in the market for this. So to end an incredibly negative video, because what else could it be, I thought I'd look at what other people were saying. The ones who, like me, were brave enough to go to the store page and spend $60 freedom to try this pile of shit. The reviews are, as you would have guessed, mostly negative. And then there's 37% of people that said, yeah, thumbs up, guys, positive reviews. But if you read them, most of them read like AI or somebody that's, you know, reading from a teleprompter with a Kalashnikov pointed to the back of their head. It's just a negative review, but then they give it a thumbs up and say, hopefully the game will be much better, but it isn't. It's like eating a plate of shit and saying, yeah, I'd recommend that if they remove the shit, clean the plate and put a nice steak on it. You're not reviewing the thing. You're not recommending the thing. You're recommending something that doesn't exist currently. So I don't know how these are even positive reviews in the first place. They're saying the price is bad, the game is bad, but hey, maybe in the future it won't be, which is about as useful as this game is fun. So for a little extra context, just everything about this game's weird. You know, go look at the system requirements and you'll find something freaky, and not the almost AI generated, you know, PlayStation 1 textured faces that are right next to it. But the system requirements of an 8th generation 4.7 gigahertz or higher processor, 32 gig of RAM, a 3000 series NVIDIA card, and 35 gig of drive space.
I didn't know they stacked shit that high.
For reference to how insane this is, look at what the game looks like. City of Heroes came out in 2004 and you could probably play it on your smart fridge at this stage. You've got to wonder what they're using all that power for, because again, the game doesn't even work. But I guess that's it, to be honest. There's probably not much more that needs to be said. But I will say, I'm going to pull one positive out of this one here, because there's not much else that could be, because the game is awful. But something good did come out of playing it. I did get my refund, but I was also reminded of a video series I started back in 2019 called Dead Worlds, where I just go and find online games. It didn't have to be an MMO, just an online game that was still officially playable, that had a very low population. Whether it never had a high population and it was just obscure, whether it was bad, whether it had just fallen out of favor over time. And I think I'd like to have that series make a comeback, because unlike Ship of Heroes, I'm sure there's some weird, wacky, or at the very least fun and interesting games out there that time's forgotten but still somehow exist. But I guess that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you are sitting there in your vintage Spider-Man Jim Jams clutching your original box of City of Heroes, I still have mine somewhere at my parents' house, so I'm right there with you. If that's you, just go and play City of Heroes Homecoming. No one is making MMOs anymore, not like they used to. If what you're looking for is a game from the 2000s, you're better off playing the games from the 2000s, or better yet, go and make a homemade Superman outfit and run around in your garden. That's probably better than playing this, because you'll get a bit of exercise and it won't cost you $60 plus $180 per year. I don't like tearing down indie developers, but I also hold them to a standard, because I support indie games. I've spent thousands of dollars backing games on Kickstarter. I've promoted games on Kickstarter. I've promoted games in early access. Whenever you do it right, I'll be right there with you. If your game's good, if there's a vision there, even if it's not currently as good as it needs to be, then I'm all for supporting that. But hobbies aren't charity, and this game not only has no reason to exist, it's also run by what seems like some really unpleasant people, judging from their handling of criticism over something as simple as the game's cost, which a lot of people were being really nice about and just saying it's not worth this, it's not going to sell a lot, it's not going to do well. And their response was, no, it is, you're wrong, get banned, and our community's fine with it. As we've seen, that community can't have been fine with it unless they have no community, because there's no fucker playing this game, and there won't be in the future. If you paid for a yearly subscription I'm sorry to say, but this game won't be around in a year, and if it is, it definitely won't be with a box price and a subscription fee. Anyway, that's about it for this one. Thanks for watching. Hopefully my video gave you more enjoyment than my time playing the game. And hopefully the money does clear for the refund, because if not, I'll probably need a ship of heroes to assist me, because parting with that money for this game would be a robbery of epic proportions that would need heroes to see it right. See you on the next one. Peace.